Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy Festus. Um, this was an actual good episode. This was the best episode that they had all week. Like stuff actually happened. Um, I'm gonna start with Charlie and Claire because that was um among my favorite scenes so far. So Ava at this point is not there trying to talk her way out of getting untied, what she's doing a really poor job at. Um, because Charlie's like, listen, you get out, you're gonna sit there and tell the cops. And Ava's like, why don't you just tell the cops? Just throw yourself at the mercy. Because um, Charlie was like, Charlie told Ava that it seemed like Allie was gonna recognize her, but then she didn't, and he's probably in the clear, and you know, um, Ava was like, she's gonna remember sooner or later. You know, I'm like, where are you going with this? Because now you just got them all riled up, no antsy and everything. And this is when Ava's like, why don't you just turn yourself in? Just turn yourself into the police, and they'll give you mercy. And also, since I'm kind of midway into this point, I have a new tablet, and I want to know, is the sound better? Is the picture better? Let me know. Any feedback would really be helpful. With that being said, so yeah, she snipped there saying that just throw yourself at the mercy, and Charlie's like, the only reason why you want me to do this is to save your perfect and precious son, Tripp. You don't give a damn about me. I'm like, Ava, you are so not doing a good job of trying to get yourself released. What are you doing? And somewhere along the lines, Ava's like, listen, you can't keep me tied up here forever. Eventually, like you just can't keep me tied up here forever. And I'm sitting there thinking, you can't keep her tied up here forever. But you know what you can do, right? I'm literally just like, oh my god, you really did not just say that. And that's when Charlie was like, you're right, I can't do that. I can't just keep you here tied up forever. The minute he said that, Ava was like, oh shit. I just, for somebody who, is known for serving their own self interest, you really just did a really piss poor job of that. I don't. Um. So at this point, Charlie's like, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. And Ava is all begging and pleading, and, he's about to sit there and strangle her. But then Claire comes to the door. And I guess we'll just wait and see Monday. If they decide to follow up with stuff going on Monday of what happened, I guess we'll just wait and see. Now, earlier, nothing really happened between um, Claire and Ellie. Only thing that really happened was they talked about Charlie. They talked about Charlie, and Allie was like, I have a feeling that I know him from somewhere, and Claire was like, oh well, he's in town, and he worked with Grandpa, so that could be it also. You never know. But it was weird because somebody was sitting there saying like, he just got sick out of nowhere and he just had to leave, and they didn't bother to question that at all. And that's when Allie, after Claire opened up her present, Allie was like, why don't you just surprise him? Just go over his house and surprise him, give him his gift, and have a good Christmas. And through her resources of pretty much just being the granddaughter's, you know, CEO or owner of the company, she was able to find where he's at. So I guess we'll just wait and see. Um. Okay, so we gotta go with Lucas and Tripp. And, as I was watching this scene, at first, I didn't start to flip out, but I was starting to get a little testy. Um, because Lucas knocks on his door, on Tripp's door, well, Ava's door or whatever, and Tripp answers it, and Tripp is like, listen, I got time for this, I gotta go. And, Lucas just kind of just bogarts his own way through, and I'm like, the hell are you doing? Now, throughout this scene between them, he's getting all antsy, he's like yelling, he's like, oh, my daughter said you did it, and you did it, and, you called my daughter a liar, and at first I was like, well, yes. But then you guys have to remember the DNA test, the DNA evidence. And he's, even Lucas was like, well, how do you explain that? So they argue back and forth, and, Tripp is like, you need to leave, and Lucas is like, no, because apparently he wants to take the law into his own hands. And then, Tripp tells, because, he's like, if I had a gun, I would, blow off your, what. And that's when Tripp was like, your daughter already did that. And, Lucas gives her a compliment, like, oh, she seems like she's more like her mother. I was like, I wouldn't really brag about that, but okay, sure. But then he just grabs, like, I guess, like a pair of scissors, and he's about to, like, start attacking him. And I looked at this scene, and I was like, I have to sit there and try to look at this. There's a lot of times when I'm watching this show, and I look at the way Allie's acting, and I look at the way everyone else is acting, and it gets me just so pissy. But I have to sit there and remember that I'm looking at this as a viewer from the outside. So, in reality, Lucas is doing pretty much what any father would do. And in that sense, I can't sit there and be like, Lucas, you're acting like a jackass. What are you doing, barging this guy's house and about to sit there and attack him with, even though he didn't do it. Because storyline-wise, he did it. Or at least the evidence says he did it. So I can't even sit there and be mad at Lucas for the way he's handling it. With that being said, he's about to sit there and start attacking him. And I'm sitting there thinking, Tripp, you have so many objects at your disposal. Why don't you, I don't know, grab something? But then Rafe comes in, and Rafe is like, he calmed him down. He argue, and, Rafe is like, listen, I'm not protecting him. Well, he didn't say that. He was just like, I'm protecting you. They go down to the police station, and, Tripp and Rafe go down to the police station. They finish filing the police, the missing police report or whatever. The missing person's report. And, Rafe is like, listen, I did it, but I'm going to be honest with you. She seemed like she just left on her accord. That's the way I look at it. But, Tripp is like, I feel like there's something wrong, And it's funny, too, because when the first time Rafe was in the office, he was talking to Nicole. And Nicole, I'm pretty sure Nicole, pretty much like everyone else, probably doesn't like her. But, for Tripp's sake. But Nicole was like, listen, something's not right. Like, why don't you just, at the very least, go over there? Since it's the holiday, since it's Christmas, why don't you just go over there and just, see? And because at first, the way Rafe was talking about it, like, Ava left or whatever, I guess I gotta sit there and do it at some point. I don't know, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. That's the way his energy seemed like it was going. And surprisingly, Nicole was like, no, just go over there now, because it's not like Ava just sit there and leave, she's a mother and children change you and yada, yada, yada. And I think I was just more surprised at how understanding Nicole was. I don't know what the hell was going on with that, but okay, sure. And then, Rafe goes over there and yada, yada, yada. What else we got? So, Steve and Kayla. So, Steve goes to the hospital, he brings some flowers and stuff like that, and he wants to make sure that, they're good because, Tripp still sees, Steve still sees, Tripp as being innocent, and, Kayla sees him as being guilty, you know. And, he even says, listen, it's better that he left because all three of us being in the same room, him constantly has to sit there and defend her, her sitting there constantly has to sit there and hold her breath, like hold her tongue. It just wasn't working for anyone. But with that being said, Steve is like, listen, why don't, I need your help. And he comes up with a theory because he asked her a question. Well, he said that, why does it always do this? Oh, because I have the Wi-Fi on. I'm still getting used to this new tablet. This actually kind of threw me off. So, Steve is like, listen, I talked to Kayla, I talked to Allie, and she seems like she has sort of two different memories. And, Steve is like, what if it's possible that, is, the DNA is from a sibling? And, even Kayla's like, listen, it is possible, she even said, like, listen, when we did the DNA test, we just assumed it was him, And I'm not gonna lie, and I said this before, but I've looked it up as far as, like, could that happen, and, like, how would they be able to tell the difference? And as far as DNA tests, like, if it was me and I had, like, a brother or whatever, how would they be able to tell us apart? Like, they have to do, like, additional testing. And that's something pretty much, I don't know if she said, but she said, like, they weren't looking for anything else and they just automatically assumed. So, but the question is, I think Steve was like, I don't have any, I don't have any children. I was gonna sit there and say, I don't have any children just running around. So, yeah. So now they're starting to go with that theory of it could possibly be a sibling. I guess we'll see. Now, on the other side of town, and I think this is actually the last scene, on the other side of town, and I need to take a drink. On the other side of town, you got Marlena and John. And, Marlena comes home, and she has a gift for John from Steve. This isn't like some gift that was like 6 months, 8 months, or whatever earlier. This is like not that long ago. And, John was like, yo, I want no parts of him. I want no parts of him. He's defending his son. His son hurt my granddaughter. I ain't with it. And, I completely understand where he's coming from. John seems like such a loving and caring person. But when you do something to someone he loves, that's it. Like, there's just certain buttons that you just don't press on someone, and that's definitely his buttons. And, Marlena's that they're trying to convince him to go and, kind of agree to disagree. Saying that, using Sammy as an excuse of, our children do stuff that sometimes we don't like, that we disapprove of, and that we disapprove of, and that disappoint us, and yet we still are there for them. And John is like, well, yeah, but this is entirely different. Our children never actually raped anyone. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't really understand how that argument was supposed to win out. But, somewhere along the lines, it actually does. And Steve comes to the hospital, which is kind of odd. I guess he might actually went to their place first. But he goes to the hospital, and he shows up with his drink. And, after Kayla, I guess, left the room, Steve was like, I get it. You don't want it. That's fine. And, that's when John was like, I just want to come over here and have a drink with one of my good friends. And, you know, they ended on that note. And I gotta be honest with you, I guess it was one of the things, and I think I remember Cynthia saying, I don't think I said this yesterday, but maybe in my head yesterday, I was like, man, it's gonna be a miracle. It's gonna be a Christmas miracle. If, you know, you agree to, you know, if John agrees to even be in the same room as Steve, um, given everything that happened. And again, you know, I always have to sit there and try to take myself out of the equation and be like, yeah, I know he didn't do it, but they don't know that. Um, and I don't know how that's gonna work. I also tell you at this point, I don't know how Kayla and Steve are actually working it out. You know, I know Kayla's still conflicted, and Steve is still sitting there defending himself. You know, his son. So I don't know how that's gonna. You know, I don't know how that's working out. But I mean, really, all he had to do was just sit there and kick out his son, and they're somewhat back to normal. Okay, sure. You know what? Plot. That's all I'm gonna sit there and say is plot. I don't think anything else really happened too much, but I gotta sit there and say this is one of the best episodes that's happened all week. And yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe. I know this came out super late, but um I really appreciate everyone who's been watching it so far, and you know who's gonna probably watch it tomorrow if you watch it tomorrow. Also, again, let me know about the sound and the visual. Like, you know, is this better? Because it looks better from my end. Because I'm still loving this tablet. But be safe. I will catch everyone in the next video.